building committee meeting to order, and I will turn it over to Taylor.
Okay. I think everybody's met Mike, but if you haven't, this is Mike Fortunato. He's a project manager with us, and he's working with me on this project, so he'll be coming to the meetings, and he's also attending all of our scheduled construction meetings as well. So I'm just going to let Mike give the construction update to everybody.
So as you can see, we've knocked down a few trees and done some excavating across the street. Right now, I'd like to think we're at about 80% mass excavation. We've gone through it fairly smoothly with, I mean, we've hit a few big boulders out there, but for all in all, I can say we've gone through it without any major issues. We're probably going to be starting trench excavation for the foundations probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Right now, they're going around, they're surveying the layout of the building. And we're going to have our geotech on site to verify quantities of soil and quantities of rock that we found on site. As you can see, the trailers were delivered a couple weeks ago. Temp power is going to be established probably within the next 2 weeks. Usually takes a week to get the power there, and then it takes another week or two to get the meter on site. And in the interim, we're also working with Eversource, Comcast, utilities to establish connections for the main building when that time comes. We started with material testing, structural fill, common fill. The contractor's been working with us to get us those samples, and those are right now out being tested. And the well design is still out, and we should have bids back in, what, a week or two?
April 4th.
April 4th.
So yeah, the biggest portion of work so far has been moving the rocks
Right.
and the boulders. And when we put this out to bid, we spent a lot of time with CGA, and CGA spent a lot of time trying to develop the spec and make it right and make sure the town was protected. So we felt like we did that, and we're starting to see it come to fruition that now that we're done with mass excavation, which is removal of all the topsoil and get down to really your starting grade, right below your top of slab elevation. Now that they're there, they've said that they've met the quantities that we've had in the spec for mass excavation, and they're not looking really for anything else. So there's no change order that's forthcoming, which is what we were worried about with how much rock is going to be down there. So it looks like so far we're safe. We still have a couple more areas to dig in the leaching pit and then where the LP tanks go, but they're optimistic that they're not going to really hit anything there. And if that's the case, then we're done with the mass excavation. The second portion of that is trench excavation, and that's when we trench for any of our utility lines and then our footings. So we also have another cubic yardage that we own in the spec. We think we did a good job with that too, but we won't know until we start digging a little deeper, and hopefully the same rings true and we don't hit too much there, and we can wipe our hands clean of all the rocks and never speak of it again on this project, because that was, knock on wood, the biggest really risk, I think, for this project going. So it looks like we're moving out of that, which is nice.
There's only just 2 areas, right, that they still are gonna hold out on, and that's the septic area and
Where the LP tanks are
Right.
going, yeah.
No, there's another one that's my biggest concern.
oh, which one is that?
That's where the fire cistern is.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
fire
Behind the
suppression.
retaining
Right,
wall.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I told him, he told me he'd call me and update me. He'd check out how much of an excavation is left, because that's up in the retaining wall area. He left me a message when I was in a meeting. They still have 8 feet to dig down for that one. So that's where I have my biggest concern, because I know there's big rocks in that area. So we knew there was a lot of rock out there. There's probably more than I expected even. It's just rock everywhere. So we made a strict classification between rock and boulder, and we defined boulder as anything less than 3 cubic yards, and rock as anything bigger than that. 3 cubic yards is pretty big. That's for mass excavation. Trench excavation, which is different when you're digging a trench, because it's much harder to deal with a bigger boulder or rock. That a boulder ends at 1 cubic yard, which is 3 by 3 by 3. So they, by spec, they own all boulders, period. We're not gonna count boulders, we're only gonna count rock, which is a little atypical, that's not normally how it is. So they own all boulders, but don't forget, a boulder in trench excavation is different than a boulder in mass excavation. Mass excavation really is anything bigger than 8x8, digging a hole. So in mass excavation, it's 3 cubic yards, which is a pretty big, that's a pretty big stone. You know, if it was, there's a lot of like flat ones, if it was 2 feet tall and 4 feet wide, it'd be 10 feet long. That's, to give you an idea visually, so that's a pretty big piece. They own all of that up to that in mass excavation. So the good news is it looks like we've done well with mass excavation, but we're still on the hook for trench. The trench will include the building perimeter where the footing goes, the trench out to the well, the trench over to the septic system. The leach area won't be in there, and the trenching to all the utilities, and there's a lot of trenching for the electrical out to the transformer in there. And anything bigger than 3 by 3 by 3 is a rock and can be counted. They own by contract 250 yards of it, no matter what. So they own all boulders during trench, which would be anything smaller than 3 by 3 by 3. And then they own 250 yards of anything bigger than that. So we're doing good so far. It was a concern, we identified it, and we're doing good so far, but it's just loaded out there. It's almost unbelievable, but so far so good.
And they're bringing a crusher on site Monday, so their plan is to start breaking it up and using it, which is what we hoped the contractor would do, and I think we saw that in the pricing, so that's the plan moving forward. Overall schedule, the contractor does feel like they're still on schedule on their whole schedule. They felt started off a little slow because of how wet and stony it was out there, but they've made up some time now, and so their actual overall schedule, they feel they're on it.
And the weather's been good.
Yeah, it's helped them out. It's dried out a little bit, made it easy to work over there too. So
We
we've
did
definitely seen that.
process the first payment also, I think you wanted to
Yes.
cover
Yep. First requisition was processed as well. So they put in their pencil rec today, which is the requisition we review before doing the final. So we'll be reviewing that the coming days, and hopefully processing that soon too.
Are we paying the requisitions based on the funds that we have set aside before we borrow money?
That I don't know, and it's up to Kim how she's allocating it out.
I did include a project budget update, so there's really no change. Your adjustments would be in that middle column, but
Sure.
we haven't had any change orders, we haven't had any updates to any contracts or anything like that, so everything remains the same, contingency remains the same. In conjunction with this, though, I do want to talk about what you had sent over yesterday, Andy. If you want to go through that, which basically brings you out at the same number, but if you want to talk about your update there.
The amendment?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the amendment to our contract, because of change in scope. But what we did is we did a spreadsheet that balanced out from the allowances we didn't use. So it's basically a net zero, based on allowances that already went by that we didn't use. So I don't know if you have,
I brought a copy, and that was sent to you, Lisa, and David as well. But what it does is it takes their original contract sum, which they had for schematic design and then construction administration, and then they had a number of extra reimbursable services that we were carrying in the budget. So because there was an amendment to their contract, they're asking for 46.5. What they did was pull out any of the reimbursable services they had there. So at the end of the day, you're left with the same fee. So they were able to move those numbers around, which, thank you. I think that looks good.
We already approved that, didn't we?
yeah, you already voted
Yeah,
on that.
that's what I
We
thought.
just followed up with this.
Yeah, this is the
amendment to sign.
paperwork that had to
Okay.
follow up behind, so.
Thank you.
Material testing update, Mike talked a little bit about that, but Briggs is on board, they're working with us now, they've picked up some samples. So other than that, they haven't done any more testing, but they'll pretty soon be doing some compaction testing out there on the soils. Change orders, we don't have any, no change requests yet.
And we're not going to.
We're not going to. Owner vendor update. I'm gonna be getting a little more in depth with this, and Mike is too, probably starting next week or the week after, but really radios. Been speaking with Chick Langone, and he's still working with a potential vendor that is looking to maybe donate the tower. It's a cell carrier that would install it, and at no cost, and then they would have space on the tower for their cell carriers, but they'd also provide space, you know, for the PD. So we're waiting on that proposal back. We asked them for that a little while ago. And then also in the meantime, we got some pricing on our dispatch equipment from GSA, the Government Services website. And we're carrying about 70 grand in our budget for that. The GSA pricing came back at 40, so we're well under.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we're gonna see what we need to do to move that forward. We also did get a bid in the actual bidding of the radio equipment that had the dispatch equipment as well, which is a little bit higher. So if we go with the GSA pricing, we'll save some money. So we're gonna be sitting down with the chief soon to kind of go through that and see where his needs are, to make sure that's buttoned up, along with regular furniture as well. We're probably gonna sit down with WB Mason at some point and start moving that forward. Now that the project's actually moving forward and has legs, we'll start kicking in these owner vendor items and making sure they're on board.
On the radio top,
Yes.
can you mention that again, so I can,
So we were, or the chief was actually contacted by a cell tower vendor. Knew that the project was going on, and they just did it, I wanna say for Westport. They just did it for another town, where they installed the tower for the town at no cost, so that they could use the cell services there.
Swansea.
Swansea, was who did it,
That's
yeah.
a big number too.
It's a very
Yeah,
big
it is.
number.
That's
Yeah, so,
180 or something.
we're waiting for the proposal to see how much teeth it has, to see if it's a real thing. But yeah, he was just contacted by, the police chief was contacted by this carrier.
my second question is, that tower is gonna be up here,
Yes, it's gonna be on the site.
are they gonna give the town anything as time goes on?
Oh, in terms of,
They usually have like a lease.
yeah, lease
yeah.
agreement.
30, 40,000.
I would hope so. We're waiting to see what that proposal is,
I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you why. I'm a ham radio club in Dartmouth. We lease a section of the property. They put up a tower, and this has been going on now for 15 years. And they have their equipment on it, they put all our equipment on it and maintain our equipment on the tower. And we make $3,500 a month,
Yeah, that's great.
okay? So, I think you might wanna think about that, because they make a lot of money with the tower.
So I hadn't heard of, this is the first time I've heard of a cell carrier actually donating the tower. I've seen where we're putting up the tower and then
They rent the space.
they rent the space on it, but you're saying that they might do both?
Well,
Yeah.
I know what happened with us.
Yeah.
They put the tower up, okay, on our property.
Yeah,
We use it, they maintain all our antennas and all our lines, and they still pay us $35 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, I've
3,500
heard of that too.
Yeah.
There was no communities that
I'll
have
tell you,
done
it's
that.
unbelievable, because
that is.
we've got a big membership and nobody pays dues, and we buy anything we want,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Swansea
I'm
did
just
that with
thinking
their tower.
Yeah, that's the same vendor contacted us.
Yeah, they took a bath over there from what I understand.
Really?
Well, they paid for the tower, and then another one went up nearby that everybody went on to. And it just,
Oh.
and I don't think they ever put anything on that
Oh,
tower.
my God.
Is that's what I've been told, so.
That won't
Well, you
happen
think
here.
you think they'd have contracts lined up before they would commit to doing that?
Yeah, yeah. So we'll, once we get that information, we'll circulate it around, but haven't seen anything from the gentleman that approached us yet. I believe that's it, actually.
Talk about the well a little? Or
Yeah,
no?
I actually want to talk about the well and then the pilasters.
Yep.
So, the well is out to bid, and we'll be getting bids back on April 4th. So, that was a consultant that CGA hired, well engineer. They put together the bid documents for that, and put that on the street last week. So, as soon as that comes in, if it's within our budget, you know, we can contract and move forward and get that well installed.
So, you know, the problem with that is, when you award the bid, you still don't know if it's within your budget, because they're bidding per foot.
Well, yeah.
So, if you don't hit it within a certain footage, you still can go over your budget, so, you know, the wells are variable. I'll breathe a little easier when that's all done.
Oh, well, it's a different kind of well, too, it's not a.
Well, there's good news, there's good news. Our consultant worked with the state, and it was determined that we did not have to do a public water supply, which decreased the cost of the well, upfront cost, but what I was really happy about is now you're not gonna have to monitor it like a public water supply, so the town's gonna save thousands of dollars a year just on those fees, which those can get pretty hefty.
Right.
So I was very happy with that. So that's good news right off the bat. It will be cheaper and you're not gonna have to treat it like a public water supply. We're still locating it in an area where it could become one. We're keeping the clearances just in case it ever had to, but there's good news with that. So let's hope first for good bids per foot and hope for little footage.
What's the average depth of wells around here, like at the school and stuff, do we know?
They did look into some of that, and they actually should try to there is a spreadsheet. They looked into some local wells, but when you go into bedrock, you know, very rarely is everybody drawing off the same vein.
Right.
Once in a while, there's a big plane in the bedrock that can, you know, in some communities, they've hit these planes that almost feeds the whole community, and they know it's there. That doesn't exist here, so most likely you're just getting,
A vein.
hoping for a vein. And, you know, it's a problem with drilling, sometimes they go right through good water. And I used to like it when they pounded them, but no one pounds them anymore. And then, you know, there's methods, if you don't get enough water, they can hydrofracture. They try to loosen all the, any kind of fissures in the bedrock to get it to collect. But there's no real science to it other than getting the setbacks. After that, it's just all, let's hope we hit a good vein once we get
Do
to
you know anybody with a 1,000 rod?
Westport, there was Kooky Macumber used to do it for us. And,
It works though.
well, when they're walking, you can see that thing twisting back in their hand, and he would trace it out. This was only for shallow wells, though. We could never use
No,
it.
for drill well.
We used to use it down at Horse Neck in the Barrier Beach, where if you went too far, you drilled salt water. But he would come down, he would trace the path, then he would walk perpendicular to it, and when he threw the first hit, he'd draw a line there, and that was how deep to go. And it was, a few times he hit it pretty good for us. But you can't use it on deep wells.
Andy, what's the minimum draw for a well? I'm just curious.
Well, the minimum, and I haven't seen these numbers for a long time, we set the parameters of how many gallons we needed per day.
Right.
So I think that was like maybe 800. But there's no real minimum draw, it just can affect the size of your tank and other stuff like that. But if I was to say from experience, I guess we could get by absolute minimum of maybe 5 gallons a minute, but hope for a lot more than that. And, yeah, then if you just can't get enough, you have to engineer a system with some more storage. And I mean, if your well gets real deep, there's a lot of storage just in the pipe. But I think 5 gallons would be the absolute minimum. I would be hoping for 10 plus.
Get to be nice.
Yeah.
Also, the contractor asked for a substitution in a material that we're using on the pilasters. We have the brick pilasters with the bottom and top cap with some precast concrete. So Andy brought a sample of that, so we just wanted to go over it and make sure everybody was happy with it. It won't change the appearance or color, but it's a different material, so we just wanted to update everybody.
Do you want us to go down there, Andy?
Sure.
Is it a better material?
I think so.
Yeah.
Supposed to weigh better or weather better?
And you don't have as many joints.
Oh, good, right.
So instead of using an actual stone, it's precast.
So what, we're receiving all kinds of submittals that are called from the contractor, from HV Collins. And we have to review the submittals and either approve them, reject them, ask for more information. This is one submittal that has to do with the cast stone. This is these pilasters that we have out front. This is brick, and we have these cast stone base and capitals in the pilasters. So what I have here is I have the brick color, and then I have the siding color just to help tie things together. So that would be this field. Here's the siding, the brick. Now, here's what was spec'd. This is called CSI, it's cast stone. This cast stone, it's made of a pumice of like, they actually pulverize some stone, put some binders and mortar, and they cast a product, and they can cast a profile in, like you can see at the base. This is the one we spec'd. It's by Aris Craft. It's a Renaissance product called Cafe, which is a nice color to go with that brick. Now, they've requested, the masonry contractors requested that we go with a cast cement product, which is this product here. And the reason I like it, first of all, there's no cost change. It's gonna be the same cost. The reason I like it is, this product, which by the way, we have some of this on our middle school, our new middle school. And you can see some.
And grays too.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
see some of the issues. So, some of the issues are, it chips easier.
Yeah.
Has more tendency to chip than the cast stone. And this is even just what came through in shipping. Little more porous, so it's good just for those reasons, but the better reason is, these cast pieces, because it is brittle, we'd end up with more joints because they cast the pieces smaller. So this is gonna eliminate some of the joints in the base. So, I'm for it. I hadn't approved it. It's not approved yet until I showed it to the committee, and I also wanted to see the physical sample, which is this. So these are the two physical samples, and this would be the actual color, compared to the actual color I spec'd way back
Well,
when.
it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually like it a little better.
I do too.
Well, this too also, you don't have the risk of getting that masonry efflorescence, the white stuff that you see on the precast sills. So, I like it.
So, if it's okay with you, I'm prepared to just approve that change at a no cost to the owner.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea, actually.
Perfect.
All right, good.
New business.
New business. We have been invited at any time to go and look at the site. So maybe, at our next meeting, when things are really underway and we know things a little bit better, maybe start off there.
Yeah.
Or not even have this meeting. There's two things that my thought process here is go there first and then come here after.
By then, our trailer will have
Yeah.
heat
Oh, and then
and
we
power,
can just have our meeting there.
and yeah,
That's
we'll have a
perfect.
table and chairs set up, so we could just start having the meetings there.
Yeah, I would agree.
That way,
That'd
everybody
be
can
great.
see the site.
Yep. So we'll have to set a date for that, and then the second thing is I know right now there's like, cause we're having our constructions meetings, there's not a lot going on for this committee. Maybe we wanna cut back on it, not cut back on the amount of people, but just do it once a month until we need to get change orders and,
Yeah,
cause I feel like, so, like I said before, everybody's seeing things, you know what I mean, and they're like, okay, everything's good, but
Everything's moving.
right, everything's moving. If it wasn't moving, you would see everybody here like screaming and
Yeah.
yelling, so
I mean,
it's a good thing.
yeah, typically for the full building committee, it is once a month.
I would just do it once a month.
I think that'll work out fine right now, and I'll let you know if we need a decision on something, or if something does pop up, but right now it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't want to do is hold out any payments to anybody or
Yeah.
anything like that,
So, I just wanna be clear on invoices. Invoices don't need to go through this committee though, correct?
all invoices should go through this committee, but.
So,
It has to be approved by the Board of Selectmen at the end anyway, cause we're like the bursars of it.
Yeah,
So it can't go straight to Kim without, but technically, it should go through this committee first.
so.
But maybe
So
we can
last
set
one,
a dollar, another, like a
Yeah,
dollar amount.
just 'cause I know,
Sorry,
um,
it's me.
so we get the pencil requisition today, and I
Mhm.
know next week I'll get the final from the contractor. And I don't know, so I'm gonna have their invoice, I'll have ours, I'll have CGA's,
So.
and we wanna submit that.
We already put it on the agenda for Monday night.
Yeah.
By the Board of Selectmen, so the board can approve it and then just have this committee, you know, not reapprove it, but
Like
like,
ratify it or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't have it for you Monday.
okay, you won't, 'cause
No.
it's on, that's when it's on the agenda
Yeah,
for,
it-
just in case.
Yeah.
That should be Tuesday.
Tuesday, right.
Yeah,
It'll be Tuesday.
I know the contractor won't have the final, he might get it to me tomorrow, but Monday's gonna
Okay.
be tough. As soon as I have it though, why don't I just send everything
To us,
to
yeah.
you and just let me know how you wanna handle it?
So, even if we get it at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, we're fine,
Okay, I'll see what I can do to,
Alright.
to pull it together.
cause otherwise we don't have a meeting for another 2 weeks after that.
Yeah,
So I just really don't wanna hold up anybody's payments.
okay. 2 weeks is within, you have 30 days to pay once the contractor
Okay.
submits, but I agree.
But it's 2 weeks for us to approve it, and then it's gonna be processed by the
Okay.
accounting office, so it's close.
Yeah, okay. Well, as soon as I get it and I'm able to process it, I'll send it along.
Right. And then maybe this committee can just, or maybe the Board of Selectmen will just do that all the time and then have this committee just,
We keep it on the agenda
Reinforce it.
just as
Yeah.
a item every meeting.
Yeah,
so-
and I put together a summary when I send it to Kim, so, you know, I don't know if that summary should go around to the whole committee at that point, and say, listen, this is what I'm sending to Kim, Tim, and David.
I don't care if we share more information than necessary, I mean,
What if you just sent, like, sent it, a copy and email to the people that are on this committee?
yeah,
If anybody has an issue, then they call in, other than that, I mean,
That's
no one's
Yeah, that's a
gonna
good
not-
idea.
No
Right.
one's gonna not sign for something
That's a
if
good
everybody,
idea, yeah.
yeah,
if you guys are looking it over and saying, yes, it was done,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
you know?
yeah,
I think that's like,
that's fine.
All right, so yeah, everything will go to you guys, and then if you'll circulate it.
We'll
Yeah.
distribute.
Yeah. Perfect.
that way it saves the time to get the thing paid.
Yeah, I agree, because I don't wanna, like I said, hold anything up, that's ridiculous. Plus, we're not paying for anything that we're not doing.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
Enough people watching
Taylor,
it, right?
Taylor's got enough eyes right there.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
that- You know, it'd be a different story if we didn't have somebody that watches it, and then you got Kim watching it too.
Yeah,
Really doesn't.
yeah,
any other new business?
no, I think that's it,
So our, next meeting will be a month from now.
okay.
I don't know if we wanna schedule that in. April 25th? April 25th or May 2nd we could do it.
Doesn't matter. We don't
If I
have-
do May 2nd, actually, in this case, I'd probably have their invoices before that meeting,
Okay,
cause they get it to me at the end of the month.
all right, so.
I'm
we'll
out
do-
of town, but I can send someone in my office,
Let me,
on May 2nd.
May second? That's what we're saying?
May 2nd, yeah,
5:30?
5:30, yep,
At the trailer.
at the trailer.
At the tree, yeah. As far as the owners, vendors, does the town have a liquid propane company they deal with?
The contractor owns that.
Right, he owns
Yeah.
the tanks, and, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I don't think you guys had a LP company you were dealing with.
Jeff was making mention of something about that today in terms of the 2 tanks, and somebody had approached him about that.
We
Yeah.
have Air Gas, which is located in Assonet, and we have JCN. And I don't know what JCN does anymore, they're still doing the same
Yeah,
quantity
yeah.
of work.
Yeah, I think they do, but don't we use propane at the police station now?
I believe so.
I don't know who we use.
Yeah.
Maybe we
I'd be
should use the
hazarding
same
to guess.
vendor.
Yeah, if you already have a contract, it's
Maybe we
helpful.
should, yeah.
Mhm.
If you
I'd be
get,
hazarding to guess of who it was.
yeah, I don't know, but there's 2 in town.
Okay.
Okay.
If you know, if you can find out who you might use now,
Yeah.
let us know. Could be helpful.
Yeah, we can talk to them, get them drawings and say, here,
Yeah,
draft up a
we can
contract.
Get a better rate sometimes too, so.
Mhm.
We should use, if they're compatible, we should,
We
competitively
may even be able to get the plumbing
speaking, we
contractor,
should
hey,
use somebody from
why don't you
town.
talk to
Right.
these guys, see
Yeah.
if they'll give you a price. That's all I had.
Thank you. I'm good. Everybody good?
Yep,
All right.
they won't all be this easy.
Yes, yes, they will. It's gonna be
Well,
smooth. No change orders,
No
smooth
change
meetings.
orders. No
Like-
more boulders or rocks.
No, we've been, we've been happy so far with the contractor.
Yeah,
Hey, should we talk about the tanks though? We approved 4 rather than 2.
You approved, say that again?
An RFI came out, well, that came up at the site meeting. They want, we had spec 2 tanks.
Yeah.
They wanna go to 4,
Yeah,
because it increases the surface area
yep,
of the gas, and it was better, so we had our engineers look into it, and they agreed it was better. So now they're gonna be installing 4 tanks. It takes up the same amount of space,
okay.
but it's gonna be 4 tanks instead of 2.
Propane tanks?
Yes, LP tanks. Same volume, same area, just 4 instead of 2.
So, what did they say the benefit was?
It basically, it's the contact area of the liquid inside and how it gets drawn off and becomes a gas. It helps that issue.
more contact area on the tank.
Interesting.
All right. Anything else, Andy?
Nope.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay,
pretty good.
I'm ready. We'll adjourn.
Thanks.
The motion.